Hello there and welcome once again to The Verdict. Mick Cornett with Kent Myers. We're here every week, meeting interesting people and dealing with topical issues, and this is a subject we revisit every year.
Well, we try every year. We miss once in a while, but we try every year to emphasize for our viewers the celebration of Law Day here in Oklahoma, which is May 1. Celebrations are on both sides of May 1, but basically that's the date officially for Law Day. We're going to have a guest today that's going to talk about the activities that will be carried out on Law Day, particularly an Ask a Lawyer program where our viewers can call in to the numbers given and get free legal advice for a period of time. It's something that the bar's been doing for a while, and it really is a good service to the public.
It is. It's a great service, and we'll learn more about it on today's episode of The Verdict. Stay with us.
I've known I was going to be an artist since I was a little kid. I still have teachers that in grade school that still have my artwork. I think I told them something along the lines, this is keep that, it's going to be worth money someday. I'm Justin Mader, I'm an artist, and I'm Chickasaw. My muse is the Muskogean, Mississippian art. When I see that, my mind just fills up with bubbles of ideas. My big thing right now is shell carving, the shell gorgets. My work is refined more and more until I found my own rhythm. I also do metallurgy, where I've been acid etching copper and hammering copper to make a copper repoussé. You only have one chance to do it right, so it requires a lot of planning and thought and just patience. My Chickasaw heritage is the foundation of who I am. It's the roots of where I come from, and it inspires me as an artist and inspires the tenacity of never giving up.
Learn more about today's Chickasaws at profilesofanation.com.
Welcome back to the set of The Verdict. Mick Cornett with Kent Myers, and Kent's going to introduce today's guest.
As we talked about in the opening segment, our guest today is Al Hoch, co-chairman of the Oklahoma Bar Association's Law Day Committee. He's here to talk to us about what's going on from the standpoint of the Oklahoma Bar in the celebration of Law Day. Al did his law work at Oklahoma City University. He's been in the practice of law privately here in the Oklahoma City area for about 29 years. His primary area of practice is criminal defense. In that regard, he has won the most prestigious award presented to a criminal defense lawyer, the Clarence Darrow Award, and that's something I'm sure he's proud of. He should be. That's quite an accomplishment. He defends mainly now very serious felony cases here in Oklahoma County and around the state. Al, sure glad to have you. Congratulations on your award and your service with the bar.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you having me here to talk about Law Day. Yeah. And as you said, it's coming up in about 3 weeks, 2.5. Mm-hmm. It's on the 28th. The actual day is May the 1st to observe Law Day, but we're doing the Ask a Lawyer show on the 28th.
Of April.
Of April.
Okay.
And it'll have a call-in program from 9 a.m. until 9 p.m. We're going to have 200 to 300 lawyers available to answer a variety of questions. We get questions dealing with areas from land law tenant to people have questions about criminal law. We've actually had people want to know if there's warrants out for them. And it's actually possible for us to try to check up on that if we have to. But there's a variety of attorneys who have experience in a multitude of areas. Obviously, I wouldn't want to answer some areas that I don't practice in, but there'll be ones to talk about family law, if people have questions about that, custody, visitation, child support. Unfortunately, we're preparing this year too for ones that are going to have questions about unemployment because of the downturn in the economy. We're afraid there's going to be a lot of questions about that, their benefits, and also it gets into some of their financial issues that they're going to have because of that. And it's a good opportunity for people who may not have access to get with an attorney or may just be hesitant to call one, that they can call. They can stay anonymous if they want, but there will be somebody there who should be able to answer the questions that they have and hopefully give them the help that they need.
Is this type of program nationwide, or do most state bar associations offer something similar on the same day?
Most states offer it. Usually it's on May the 1st. However, that's going to be on a weekend, so we're doing it during the week to give more people an opportunity to call in and also to have more attorneys available at that time to talk about it.
Yeah, and what's your involvement with the bar? How did you get this assignment?
Well,
How did they lasso you into this, Al?
actually, Garvin Isaacs, who's president of the Bar Association right now.
And he's been on our show a couple of times.
Okay, yeah, and he asked me to help with this, and I'm glad I did because it's a very worthwhile project from the Bar Association. It's one of several they have that's an outreach to people. It gives a free service. It's a community service that involves the entire Bar Association.
Now, I introduced you as co-chair of Law Day. Who's the other co-chair or other? I don't know how many there are.
There's two of us, and Richard's going to be one of the other chairs.
Richard
Venables, and he's doing that, and he's done this for years, and he's excellent. For whatever reason, they sent me to talk today.
All right.
So,
So if somebody calls in and somebody's going to answer the phone, are they going to try and direct that phone to someone who can probably answer the question? Is there kind of an initial screen when someone calls?
correct. They're going to try to find out what the issues are the person has, and they'll direct it to, if it's a family law question or custody, to someone who deals primarily in that area. If it's something about landlord-tenant issues, they'll send it to someone who deals in that area. So it should be somebody familiar with the type of cases that you actually have an issue about.
Now, the theme for Law Day this year, I know there's a different theme every year. What's the theme this year?
This year it's juries, judges, and justice. And along with that, there's a juror appreciation event coming up that's going to be in September also. But it's for the Bar Association to show their appreciation for jurors who take their time to come and do a service for the public, one that's absolutely necessary to maintain our rights, not only for criminal defendants that I represent, but for people who have issues they've been injured, they have issues with contracts, whatever their issues are, that they actually have an opportunity to have their cases heard in court. Without the jurors and without people being willing to serve on jury duty and take their time, the system breaks down. And this whole system is predicated on having impartial jurors come in front of an impartial judge and both sides being able to present their case.
About how many lawyers from the Bar Association will be involved in Ask a Lawyer?
There's probably going to be at least 200 to 300 there to answer questions
Wow.
throughout the day. It's a 12-hour program, and not everybody's going to be there for a full 12 hours,
Sure.
but they'll be there for several hours at a time. We're also this year having a lot of Hispanic attorneys, and we're also going to get some interpreters there because from 3 to 9 p.m. we'll have those available also, where they'll be able to answer questions for ones whose primary language is Spanish.
Can you, from past experience, can you kind of summarize where most of the types of questions come into? Is there certain categories of law that seems to draw more response in a show like this?
You get more of landlord-tenant. You get a lot of issues about family law. You get several questions about probate and estate issues. It's ones that people, for whatever reason, don't have access to an attorney, or that it might be out of their cost range, a lot of people are just afraid to go.
Yeah.
And they have issues that a lot of times are ones that can be handled fairly simply. They just don't know where to turn.
Can a caller be assured of anonymity, that their name won't be written down or recorded some way about why they were calling or what answers they got?
Right, there's nothing that's going to be recorded on it. Now there is the opportunity if someone needs to if they aren't available to make a call during that time or don't have access to call, there's also going to be a way they can do it through the Oklahoma Bar Association website that they can send an email in and it will be answered by email. Nobody's going to keep track of their email, nobody's going to print anything out, and there won't be any records kept of that. There obviously would be an email response coming to them, but we aren't going to keep any record of it.
So if a caller has a question about, hypothetically, an auto accident, they call in and ask the question. When they ask the question, get the answer, they're not going to be solicited by a dozen lawyers wanting to handle their case about their accident. Their name's not going to be put out in the general knowledge area.
No, their name's not going to be put out. There's not going to be anyone that knows what phone number they called from or anything like that. There's no list kept of anything. There's a statistical list kept of approximately how many calls come in. The list kept by areas so that next year we have an idea. You know, you don't want 100 attorneys there to answer something on an area that nobody calls in, and you have one that you have 1,000 calls on.
Yeah, sounds like a good plan. Al Hoch is our guest. He's discussing Law Day, which is coming up in the state of Oklahoma. You'll have opportunities to call in and ask a question and get a lawyer to give you some free legal advice, at least on an initial inquiry. And we'll have more with Al right after this.
Energy production, preserving Oklahoma's landscapes. Both matter to all of us. That's why horizontal drilling is such an important part of preserving Oklahoma's land. Today, just one horizontal well can do the work of as many as 6 vertical wells, reducing the size of an oil and natural gas drilling site by as much as 85%. Find out more about the industry's commitment to minimizing its footprint at oerb.com/bothmatter.
The good life comes naturally to Tulsa, where nature's beauty is matched with an eye for aesthetics. A legacy of neighborhoods graced with lawns and landscaping and handsome homes. A place that seems to have patented an ideal lifestyle. Bank First is loyal to the quality of life Tulsa assures its citizens, to the priority placed on education, culture, and growth. Loyal to builders who transform raw land into residential charm. Developers who see opportunity and add vitality to Tulsa's economy. Bank First serves both enterprise and private lives that need a loyal partner. It's how we help nurture this city's very good life. Bank First. Loyal to Oklahoma. Loyal to you.
Welcome back to the set of The Verdict. Mick Cornett with Kent Myers and our guest Al Hoch, who's discussing Law Day, which is coming up in the state of Oklahoma.
Al, I know that you have many lawyers participating in the Ask a Lawyer program by donating their time. Do you get any feedback from them about how they have viewed the time they've spent answering the phone?
Yeah, we do, and I want to correct one thing real fast.
Okay.
I said Richard's name wrong. Richard Vreeland is the one that is the co-chair,
okay.
and he's been the chair of Law Day for years, and it's been going on in Oklahoma for 38 years for the Ask a Lawyer, It's, in fact, Law Day across the country started out in Oklahoma.
Yeah, the first law day was in Oklahoma.
Right, from
Really?
Yeah, Josh Lee, and
Hicks Epton.
Hicks Epton
was
yes.
an attorney in
Wewoka,
Oklahoma, and he was a former president of the Bar Association. He started it, and then in 1958, President Eisenhower made it a national day to look at the law and what it's done to protect the liberties of everyone. But back to your question, as far as ones who do this,
Yeah, the feedback, yeah.
you get everyone who does it is thoroughly enjoys doing it. Everybody, the first time I answered questions, I was nervous as could be about what kind of question am I going to get, and you're afraid to get something wrong is the main issue. But there's also others in different areas to help, and that's part of the reason that we go and have attorneys from numerous areas to be able to answer whatever questions come in.
If a citizen calls in and asks, gets directed to a landlord-tenant person that's going to answer their question, and they talk to them a while, give them whatever information they can, then the caller says, well, can you take my case? What are the lawyer phone bank members instructed to do, if anything?
There's not really an instruction as such, but what everyone is going to do is refer them to their county bar association. Almost every county bar association has a list of attorneys who will
Lawyer referral service.
A lawyer referral service. And in fact, a lot of the counties, they're going to have it in their local newspapers. Some of the counties are doing the Ask a Lawyer from local numbers in their community.
So this is statewide. If they're down in Poto, they can call, or if they're up in Guyman, they can call.
Right, and there's going to be an 800 number that people can use, but there's also going to be numerous counties that have their own numbers to call.
I want to switch subjects slightly. You're a defense attorney, and defense attorneys are always portrayed on television in one manner or another. I've had a couple of professional careers, once in television news and then as a mayor, and so those are professions that are sometimes depicted on television, and I can't help but when I'm watching it, I'm making a judgment. Well, that's realistic, or that's ridiculous, or whatever the case may be. Well, when you're watching defense attorneys on television, are you making the same sort of armchair judgments about whether or not that's very realistic or that it's very accurately portrayed?
I do somewhat. I try to avoid some of those shows just because you want to sit there and say, I can't believe you just did that.
Well, and they have to wrap it up at an hour show, and that's not part of the routine of a day-to-day defense attorney as well, I would assume.
Correct.
How do you avoid, though, getting emotionally involved in the case of your client? I mean, sometimes your client's life or the rest of their life is on the line, and you're trying to act professionally and be a part of that, but emotionally I'm sure you get tied up with the person you're trying to represent.
Right, you do, and in fact there's a lot of support for attorneys who do criminal defense. It comes from Oklahoma Criminal Defense Lawyers Association. It's interesting that you asked that because last night there was, on our listserv, there was some questions about that, and one of the younger attorneys said, how do you all do this for so long? And just because of the stress that's involved with it. But one of the things that those who do criminal defense look at is it's really a calling for them to do that, that it's one of the most important things is that you are there to guarantee that these people have their rights protected. And granted, a lot of people hate what we do, and especially when you do the more violent offenses like I do. But those same people would want somebody exactly like me or the other members of the Oklahoma Bar Association who do criminal defense to represent them or their family if they were in that position. And it's not like on TV, innocent people do get accused. And those are the hardest cases to do when you believe somebody is innocent because you're so afraid of missing something at that point.
In your experience, we've had David Prater on and other folks involved in the system from time to time, but in your experience, your personal practice experience, What percentage of your serious offenders plead out, and what percentage actually go to trial, just approximately?
On the really serious offenses, a fairly high percentage go to trial, and it's simply because of the way the legislature has gone about setting up punishment ranges.
Yeah.
Some of them force people to trial because they have nothing to lose by going to trial. But a lot of cases, 95+% overall are pled out. And it's because people realize what they did. They're not trying to hide out or whatever, and they're willing to accept their punishment. But it comes into one of the things that Law Day is about this year is the issue about juries. Those going to trial are innocent sometimes, and there's a reason they're going, because I tell people all the time, don't plead to something you didn't do. That will come back to haunt you later on. Some people want to plead just to get out of jail, but people go to trial because there is an issue, and there's innocent people there. People go to trial from car wrecks because they're truly hurt.
Discuss jury selection and the art behind jury selection and how that's evolved through the years.
Well, in the jury selection, the judge first qualifies people, and that's part of what the Law Day show is going to be about, that's going to be on OETA, is the need for people to come and serve on jury duty. I know people, when they get a jury summons, are going to say, oh no, why me? But you want to serve on jury duty because you want people there to, when you have an issue, you want fair and impartial people. And whether it's me or David Prater, and I know Mr. Prater, I've known him for years, we're friends. But both of us, when we're picking juries, we're looking for people that don't come in with an axe to grind. That we want people who are educated, people who can think for themselves, and people who are actually going to sit and listen, pay attention, and go through everything before they make a decision. We don't want somebody who's going to come in saying, my mind's made up, I'm going to do such and such. Because you want ones who listen to everything and who can be fair.
How do you, in jury selection, staying on that topic just for another minute or so, how do you screen out in your own mind, and therefore through your questioning, those that you worry have already made up their mind, perhaps in a way not favorable to your client?
Normally, you can tell from their response. A lot of it you can tell from body language, and most of it you can tell just from the way they respond to you. And most people, when they come in, are going to be honest about it. And we tell people that you can go up here to the bench and tell the judge, you don't need everybody to hear what your reason is, you can't be fair. There's a prime example is sex crimes cases. Nobody wants everybody out here that's come for jury duty to know anything about their friend, their family member, maybe even themselves if something happened to them. But those people also are honest enough to get up and tell you that, hey, I can't be fair because of this. And I even tell people when I pick juries to don't go right then to the judge. Wait until there's another question, a few questions down, and say, I need to come up now and talk to you.
Right.
And when people are on jury duties, they can do that. They can go up at any time. They can even go up during a break and tell the judge's bailiff. Obviously, the lawyers can't talk to them because we don't want anybody thinking we're trying to persuade somebody.
Al Hoch, our guest, is a defense attorney, but he's here today to talk about Law Day and Ask a Lawyer. Kent and I will give you some more information on that coming up after this break. Thanks, Al.
Thank you. I
Thank you,
appreciate
Al.
it.
Appreciate it.
There are now 11 million of us who live here and work here. I was 15 when I came here 6 years ago. I raised my family here. I drive my truck to my job every day. The only difference between now and 6 years ago, I do it legally. I wanted to. Because this is my home.
All children deserve a life of hope and love, but sometimes they experience a life of pain, neglect, and abuse.
When that happens, each child deserves all the quality assistance and representation that can be offered in our legal system. For more information, call 23-CHILD.
Oklahoma Lawyers for Children, helping to bring hope and love back to the lives of abused children.
You will always be Mom and Dad to me.
I really think people are so unaware of the number of kids waiting just in Oklahoma. And I think if more people knew that those children were out there waiting, I think that just by the way we live our lives and the people we talk to, that maybe we can help encourage adoption from Oklahoma.
You will always be Mom and Dad to me.
The Journal-Record is pleased to be a sponsor of The Verdict. The Journal-Record, since 1903, the best source of Oklahoma business news and legal information. And for almost 30 years, Oklahoma political, government, and business leaders have turned to the McCarville Report for accurate, reliable, inside information. Visit the McCarville Report online.
Welcome back to the set of The Verdict. Mick Cornett and Kent Myers wrapping up a show with Al Hoch, who discussed Law Day, which is coming up May 1st. But the day we want to draw your attention is April 28th. OETA, all across the state of Oklahoma, is going to have an opportunity for people to call in on their televised show, and you can ask a lawyer a question. Doesn't cost you anything, but it's an opportunity for you to get some free advice. Website information, okbar.org. We'll have more information on Law Day. And we have a website, theverdict.tv. We'll see you next week.